of my fault, my strokes, grubs, my mess ups, because he's already prepared for what I might do. He knows what I'm going to do before I do it, and he already made preparation for me before I get there. What follows darkness is light. That darkness is the indicator that light is getting ready to shine. So there it is in Genesis, when darkness was upon the face of the deep, and God in the spirit form moved upon the face of the waters, and then God said, let there be. Because darkness precedes the light. Are you understanding what I'm saying? But he needs the darkness there so that God can move upon the face of the deep, so that the shift can take place. Listen, look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor that shift take place in the darkness. God, y'all didn't hear what I just said. Everybody's not going to see the shift that's happening. They see the chaos, but they don't see the shift. They see all the craziness going on in your life, but they don't understand that underneath the darkness, God is moving in secret. He's moving in quiet. He's moving in the hidden places. He's moving in the cracks and the corners and the crevices. He's moving in places that you cannot see. And when the light comes, they're going to see a new order. tithing. And so the universe then has no choice. First attribute of the secret place. The secret place is a place of revelation. It makes you free because it awakens you and makes you consciously aware that everything that you thought was holding you is an illusion. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Emerge Empowerment Session. I am Isaac J. Miles, and I am happy to be here this morning. We seem to be a little bit slow or light with everybody getting on. There's only about 2 of you here. So we're going to give a little bit of time and see if anybody else is going to jump on. Maybe this is just one of those days where we need to just kind of wait for the next week to roll around. We will see. Who else is going to be joining us this morning? We'll see. We'll see in a little bit. Good morning, Toya. Thank you, as always, for tagging everybody. I appreciate you so very much. Good morning, Theresa. I see you on here. Good morning, Dee Dee. I see you on here as well. And I appreciate each and every one of you who are here with us this morning. There's been a lot that's been going on, man, between last week and this week. There's a lot going on in our country, on a global level, as well as in the universe, in the spirit world, or the kingdom of God, whatever the terminology you want to use. There has been some massive movement that is taking place, and I don't want to, start jumping into that, but just hope that you are mindful of it, mindful of what's been happening, and taking note of the different changes that are taking place in the earth around you, and even in your families and in your connections and friends and the community that you're living in, that there are drastic changes that are taking place. There's movement taking place in all 7 of the mountains of influence, from government to education to media. Just all 7 mountains of influence are definitely undergoing a drastic renovation, a drastic realignment and shifting, if you will. And so it makes for a very turbulent time, but it's also an exciting time for those of us who understand both the times and the seasons. Remember, according to the principle outlined in Ecclesiastes 3, that to everything there is a season, and then a time for every purpose under the sun. Things have a season, and purposes have a time. And when those 2 things collide, then we start to see a real paradigm shift taking place within the universe. And that's what we're experiencing now, where both time and season have collided or merged or aligned. There's an intersection between time and season, between things and purpose. And we're seeing such a drastic movement taking place throughout the globe and throughout the multiverse, affecting all beings, including all of humanity. And so it's an exciting time to be alive and to be aware and conscious of what's taking place around you. I'm so excited to be able to talk with you about the universal patterns that we've been discussing over these past couple of conscious conversations that we've had. And today I want to focus your attention on the pattern of seed time and harvest, the universal pattern of seed time and harvest. So I want you to make sure that you're ready, that you got your pen, paper, or whatever recording device that you're using to take notes with. Go ahead and get you a good cup of coffee or a glass of juice or tea or whatever it is that you like to drink on a early Sunday morning. And prepare to get involved in the conversation. I'd really like to have a good, robust conversation with those of you who are here.
So I want to hear your comments. You can put those in the comment section and talk back with me. And let's have a good, like I said, robust conversation around this particular this particular focus, rather. I want to begin the conversation this morning, and I know there's just a few of us. I don't know where everybody else is, and everyone has their own schedule, so they'll either catch it now live or they'll catch it on the replay. Either way, which is fine. I want to jump into this particular conversation or this focus and topic this morning, as we are discussing the universal patterns that affect all of the universe, all of the globe, all of the multiverse, all of humanity, and all of the beings that exist across the multiverse. These universal patterns are in place. They are put in place not to our detriment, but to our benefit. In eternity past, before the earth and the universe were formed, we, along with the all of everything, as we existed as a thought, an idea, a concept within the all of everything, within God. In the beginning was the Word, the Logos, the thought, the idea, the concept. We, along with God, co-created a universe and a world for us to be able to exist in, so that the all of everything could know itself experientially. There was a time when the all of everything was all that there was. And so even though it knew that it was the all of everything and that it was all that it could only know itself conceptually, but it could not know itself experientially unless the all of everything had the all of everything, that which is, had to have that which is not, because you cannot know what is unless there is what is not. So the all of everything, in order to know itself beyond the conceptual realm and to know itself experientially, formed us, created us within its mind. In the beginning was this word, thought, idea, concept, us, and then spoke us into being. We be released from the mind and the mouth of the all of everything, speaking anthropomorphically, of course, because spirit does not have a mouth and hands and so on and so forth. But anthropomorphically, it spoke or breathed the breath of life, and we are that breath of life that poured out of the all of everything into a form, and man became consciously aware, or a living, breathing, animated expression of God, so that it could know itself experientially. So it could look back on itself from its individuations of form and know itself experientially. So God then experiences and expresses itself through us, as us, in the earth realm. But in that oneness, space of oneness, prior to our entry or our incarnation, we co-created with God this universe. Let us make man. Let us. We co-created this universal experience and put in place specific laws that would govern the existence of this universe, so that as we entered this three-dimensional plane, we would have the tools necessary for us to be able to create and curate the lived experience, the unique lived experience that each of us would choose after entering this iteration or this experience that we call life. So the laws are put in place not to harm us. They are not adversarial. They are put in place for our own use. And so when we began to understand these things, understand the laws, how they work, their mode of operation, we're better able then to use them or manipulate them or shape them or put them into action and interact with them in a way that suits us and serves our highest vision and version of ourselves. And so when we talk about not just the spiritual laws, but then universal patterns that reflect the regularity of God and the regularity of the universe that was created in order for us to experience and express our own divinity. These patterns are put in place, patterns that cannot be broken, that remain for as long as existence exists. Let me say that again. These patterns that cannot be broken, that remain as long as existence exists. They are consistently at work, and they are designed with us in mind, for us to be able to then understand our journey, to awaken us consciously to our divinity, and to aid us in creating the lived experience that we desire. These patterns are important for us to understand. They establish the cycles, the stages, the seasons, the rhythm, if you will, of our life, of this planet, of this plane of consciousness, of this, of nature, of the earth, and all that there is in it. This rhythm once started, then continues on perpetually for as long as existence exists. Okay, the Genesis narrative that is outlined in the Christian Bible, the creation narrative that's in the Quran and in the Bhagavad Gita and in the book of Tao. All of them have a creation narrative, and all of them ascribe to this regularity, these patterns, this mode of operation that is universal in nature, that consistently and perpetually continues on for as long as existence exists. In beginnings, it says in Genesis chapter 1, most of you, if you're reading from a King James version, it says in the beginning. But the word in the original text, the is not there, because the began, it actually defines an actual start and finish. And since God is eternal, there is no start and finish. God didn't come from anywhere. God is. Are you understanding what I'm saying? God simply is. So it actually reads in the Hebrew text that in beginnings, and the word beginning is not just beginning singular, but beginnings, that indicates that there have been several beginnings, several iterations of this experiment or this experience that we call humanity and life in this three-dimensional plane. In beginnings, God created heavens and the earth, that God created this dichotomy, this duality that we call our lived experience within the earth, above and beneath. Now, all of this is interconnected with every other part. There is the law of oneness says that everything is interconnected with the other. There is no separation. It is the illusion of separation that is the cause of much of the confusion and even wars and rumors of wars that we experience within the earth. But when we understand that there is no separation, there is a oneness and intersectionality and interdependence that that everything has on the other, that you cannot affect one part of existence without it having a effect on another part of existence, because we are all tethered and tied to the one that is God, all of everything. Then when we understand this, then we understand this singularity, then we understand, or we begin to grasp and sometimes grapple with the idea of what is the meaning behind all of this. What is the why to the what? And the patterns, the universal patterns that establish the cycles and seasons and times and so on, they begin to show us or uncover or reveal the why to the what. So that's why we're spending time having this conversation about these universal patterns. We're doing it so we can begin to understand the why. If we understand the why, then we can better know what we want to do. We can better choose what we want to do, what we want to experience, and what we want to create when we better understand the why. Okay, I know that sounds a little bit paradoxical. It might be even a little bit convoluted and seem a little confusing. But as we continue the conversation, I promise that it'll become even clearer to you. And if you have questions, don't forget to put them in the comments so that I can address whatever your questions might be. Okay, so we talked about the universal law that is at work, or that is most supports or is the substratum of all of the patterns that exist within the universe. There is a universal law that is the law of rhythm, and we talked about what the law of rhythm is before. That's a very good question. Theresa says, does the original say gods instead of God? Actually, it doesn't even use the term God. God is a human terminology, just like Allah, just like Buddha. They are human terminologies to try and give some definition to the all of everything. That's why you hear me use the term the all of everything a lot of the time, or our source, that which is, because God really kind of narrows and limits what this universal, expansive, immutable power or energy or force or source is, and kind of boils it down to a little bite-sized nugget of what humanity thinks that it can comprehend. But God is so much, the creator, the all of everything, which is really a more accurate, I think, definition or terminology, because the all of everything is all that there is. You understand what I'm saying? Because when you say, this is God, is to say that if this is God, then there has to be something that is not God. But since God is everything, then the all of everything is more comprehensive. All of everything that is and everything that is not. It is the all of everything that is and everything that is not. It is not just here, but there, and the space in between here and there. All encompassing all that there is and all that there is not. I hope I answered your question. Oh, okay. You just told me I did. Okay. So, yeah. So it actually doesn't use that term. The Hebrew text actually refers to it as theos, okay, which is more conceptual than it is concrete. There are several other terminologies that are used. And remember, as we've learned before, words are the lowest form of communication. But it is how humanity and beings of a spiritual nature, individuations of the all of everything, began to describe the indescribable. So we came up with the term to try and define and describe the indescribable that we intuitively know because we are one with, and so we put a label on it. Okay, so you will hear me use the term God and the all of everything and creator, energy force of that which is, interchangeably, but please understand that I am just trying to give the broadest understanding without limiting the all. Okay? So, very good question. Very good question. So, let's talk about these universal patterns. And today what I want to do this morning is focus on the pattern of seed time and harvest. And I already know immediately what comes to mind, especially when, for those of you who grew up in the Christian persuasion or Reformation as I did, the immediate thing that our mind runs to is money, because that is the distortion. That is the distortion, the fixation that has been created by the church, by the Christian church, concerning this particular pattern, this concept. But please understand that everything is subject to this universal pattern, seed time and harvest. And so we're going to help to broaden our understanding of what this pattern is, how it functions and aligns within the earth, what other universal laws align with this pattern, because every pattern is aligned with the laws that govern the universe. Every pattern is aligned inextricably with certain laws that govern the kingdom of God or the universe or the spirit world, so on and so on and so forth. Whatever terminology you're going to use there. Every pattern, okay, they are aligned with. They are the grandchild, if you will. I don't know why I chose grandchild, or the child of these spiritual laws. Okay, these irreversible, unbreakable spiritual laws. All right. This first mention of this particular pattern from the Christian Bible is found in Genesis 8:22. I'm going to use that particular text as a basis to broaden our understanding of this particular pattern. I guarantee you that probably most of you that are listening to me right now live, and those who are probably watching on replay, have only heard the A clause of this particular text and not the complete verse of the text, and certainly not the context of the text. But I want to read to you the entire verse in Genesis 8:22. It says, while the earth remains, or it says remaineth in the King James, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall never cease. I know. You thought it just simply says seed time and harvest will never cease. That's not what it says. It goes on to give several other examples of this pattern, that seed time and harvest, summer and winter, cold and heat, day and night will never cease. Now we know that there is a law of rhythm that is at play here with all patterns, but I want to point out to you that this particular pattern that is mentioned here in Genesis aligns itself with several other universal laws. They are the law of cause and effect, the law of compensation or sowing and reaping, the law of polarity, I know that one surprised you, and the law of gender. I guarantee you that one surprised you. Okay? And we're going to unpack how this particular pattern aligns or is tied or intersects with these particular laws so we can better understand seed time and harvest. And while you can apply this particular pattern to money as usual, within the Christian circle, you are not incorrect, but you are incomplete. Unfortunately, this particular pattern and the laws associated with it have been used as a tool to gaslight the followers, the congregants, and manipulate them into giving certain amounts of money, giving in a certain mindset, a fever pitch, and therefore causing them to have a certain response to hearing this particular phrase, where your mind immediately runs to money, it immediately runs to material things, and it does not even begin to consider the vast expansiveness that this pattern and the laws associated with it actually comprehends or encompasses. And so I want to try and expand your view and your perspective where this universal pattern and the laws associated with it is concerned. I want to really broaden your view. And so that's why I wanted to point out to you at the very top all of the laws that are associated or align themselves with this particular pattern. Now, let me say this at the top. It is important that you understand seed time and harvest is a universal pattern. It is not a law. There is no law of seed time and harvest. Let me say that again for the people that are sitting in the back and that grew up in church like I did, hearing them saying that there was a law of seed time and harvest. There is not. Seed time and harvest is a pattern. It is a mode of operation. It is how the earth functions. Let me say it again. It is one of the mechanisms or systems in place that governs how the earth operates. Let me say that again. It is a mode of operation. It is one of the multiple systems within the synergistic cycles of the earth that governs how it functions and operates. Seed time and harvest, and I'm going to say include the other pieces so that you can see the broadness of this particular pattern. seed time and harvest, day and night, winter and summer, heat and cold are a part of the mode of operation or the system by which this earth operates. There are laws, universal laws that align to this particular pattern, that gave birth to this pattern, that are involved with this pattern, that created this mode of operation, this system, this mechanism that the earth adheres to, that the universe adheres to. All of the earth, all of nature, all of the universe, and all of humanity adheres to this pattern. All of us are subject to it, experience it in every part of our existence throughout our iteration in this three-dimensional form. Whether consciously or unconsciously, you fall within the ebb and flow and the function and the operation of seed time and harvest, hot, heat, and cold, day and night. You are a part of this functionality. You experience it in every facet and every part of your life, whether consciously or unconsciously. The point of this conversation is to make you consciously aware of it, because what you are aware of, you can now use to serve your highest good. Okay? Seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night, align with these laws. Let's begin to unpack them and see the intersection between these universal laws that have produced or given birth to this particular pattern. The first one is, of course, remember the underlying law, of course, is the law of rhythm. We've discussed that already. The first one is the granddaddy of all the universal laws. At least that's what I call it. That's not, okay, that's not something that is defined by anyone else. That's the Isaac Miles definition. The granddaddy of all the other laws, the law of cause and effect. This universal law is the substratum of every other law that exists. Every other law seems to work hand in hand with this particular universal law. The universal law of cause and effect, as you know, we've discussed before, simply says that for every cause, there is a subsequent, specific, and corresponding effect. That every action has a reaction. Okay? Yes, granddaddy of them all. Okay? That for every action, there is a corresponding reaction. That for every cause, and a cause can be thought of as seed, there is a effect, which can be thought of as harvest. It is the seeds of causation that create the effect. Let me say it again. It is the seeds of causation that create the harvest of effect. There is seed time, that is an opportune time for seed to be put into action, to be planted, to be sown, and there is an opportune time for the effect. It is important that you understand. Here is a principle that cause and effect are not tied to any specific timeline. Let me say that again. That cause and effect is not tied to any specific timeline. Remember that time is not linear, it's more spiral, even though it is an illusion, because all that is happening now. All that has or will happen is happening right now. Okay? So it is not linear, past, present, future. Okay? It is more of a spiral where we are moving in and out of. Okay? And so there is not a timeline between cause and effect. That is to say, you cannot define that if I create or sow or release or put into action the seeds of causation, that the effect will take place in 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 days, 10 years, 20 years, 100 years, 100 minutes, 100 seconds, in a millisecond, immediate. What is definite is that if the seed of causation has been put into action or sown, then the effect is inevitable. It may not be imminent, but it is inevitable. Let me say that again. The effect is not always imminent, that is immediate, but it is inevitable. Okay? Now, how does that serve us? Well, it is to say, number one, that we can have a surety of the predictable outcome of the seeds of causation. It gives us the confidence, the knowing that because of my deliberate and intentional sowing of the seeds of causation, putting those causes into effect, interacting in this manner, that the effect is sure to follow. So it gives me the confidence and the surety of what the outcome is going to be. All right? 1 + 1 will always be 2. Period. All right? That gives me that confidence. Cause always has an effect. And that effect is always in correspondence with the seed of causation. All right? What it also says to me is that if then there is an effect that I desire, if I can trace it to its cause, I can duplicate the effect. Let that sink in for a second. If I can trace down the effect to its root cause, I can duplicate the effect by simply duplicating the cause. Apple seeds will always produce apples. If I like the desired effect, the apple, then I simply have to go back to its cause, which is the apple seed. Follow that cause, duplicate that cause, and I will get the same effect. Okay? All right. So cause and effect, part of seed time and harvest, which are then also ties in the law of compensation / the law of sowing and reaping. And we kind of just unpacked that a little bit already. There is before I move to that one, let me go back to cause and effect in a second. Let me go back to cause and effect. Okay? It not only gives me the confidence of the outcome, the surety of the regularity, it not only allows me to be able to start creating the desired effect by just simply finding the cause and duplicating such so that I can get the same effect. Yes, Tanisha, that's good. Tanisha put up cause and effect equals if and then. That's real good. If you do this, then you get that. Okay? It's like when my daughter says, when she's in high school, well, the teacher gave me and Tanisha, you made me think of this because I know you're a teacher. The teacher gave me a particular grade. No, she didn't give you that grade. You earned that grade. That is the effect of the cause. Okay? Your study habits, your ability to comprehend, remember, regurgitate, is the seed of causation that produces the desired effect. If you want the desired effect, then you have to go back to the cause. Now, cause and effect. If that grade happens to be an F, hello. Well, now what is the cause of that effect? Not studying, not reading, not comprehending, not preparing. All of those are the seeds of causation that produced a predictable effect. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Yes? Like I hear, some Christian folk run around and saying stupid stuff like the devil did this. See, that's where this whole disempowering victim mindset of the need for a devil comes into play, because that gives you a ready-made excuse and a ready-made escape for everything that happens in your life that you don't like. So you don't have to take accountability and responsibility for your own life. You can always blame it on a devil or a demon or a witch or a spell or a Hank or something else, anything other than me. I can't be the cause of this effect. This effect has got to come from something else. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? That's where that whole mindset comes from. That's why it's so disempowering, because as long as you embrace that victim consciousness, you will never take responsibility for your own existence and your own experience, and you'll continue to have the same experiences again and again and again and again, and then you start saying the devil is always busy, and the devil's on my track, and the devil's coming after me because I'm anointed, and because I'm so powerful, and because of who I am, because of the purpose attached to my life, he's attacking me, and when in fact you are producing the effect that you are experiencing. You are producing it by the seeds of causation that you consciously or unconsciously put into play. But when you start to understand the cause and effect and the pattern of seed time and harvest, then you understand that I am only reaping or being compensated. There's the law of compensation. Getting the compensation, being compensated for my own actions. For my own thoughts, for my own words, for my own actions, for my own ideas, beliefs. I am the root cause. The enemy is inner me. Okay, not something floating around out here, not some spirit of hang, not some entity that you can't see that's creeping around in your house and all up in your bedroom and in your car and on the job. It's in here. It's in here. It's in here. There's your enemy. There's your demon. There's your devil. There's your spirit, if you will, that's hindering you. It's inside. Okay? And when you begin to understand this, embrace this, then you can begin to take note of what those effects are in your life that you don't desire anymore. Trace them down to the cause of them. What is creating this? Why does this seem to be the cycle or the rhythm of my life? Why do I keep repeating the same relationships again and again and again? Why do I keep repeating the same experiences again and again and again? Why does my life seem like a constant rerun of a bad sitcom? If you trace it back to the causation, then you simply have to now shift the cause or plant a different seed to get a different harvest. You cannot plant oranges and expect to get apples. Everything produces after its own kind. Cause and effect, sowing and reaping, compensation. Everything produces after its own kind. Chickens don't give birth to cows. Cows don't give birth to birds. Are you hearing me? So you're blaming some outside external entity is tantamount to your blaming the cow for the birds that are flying above your head. Are you hearing what I'm saying? No, you got to trace down to what is the seed of causation. What is it that I have done or neglected to do that has produced this effect, that has created this harvest? And seed time and harvest, day and night, hot and cold, winter and summer, are not designed to hurt you, but they are universally in operation, and they are inevitable experiences. You will experience seed time and you will experience harvest. Your life will experience day and night. That's a whole, I'm getting ready to get to that part right there a little bit, in just a little bit. Summer and winter, cold and heat. It will never cease. As long as the earth remains, this will never cease. It is inevitable that you will have an experience with both seed time and harvest. But if you can become aware of the seed time, you can control the harvest. If you become consciously aware of what your thoughts, words, and deeds are in the seed time, then you can control the harvest. What you do in the night will determine the day. What you do in the winter will determine the summer. What you do in the cold will determine the heat. Are you understanding what I'm saying? And the light shined out of darkness. Yes, are you understanding what I'm saying? Man, I'm running out of time already. Great day, and I haven't even gotten past cause and effect and sowing and reaping. Let me get these other two tied in as well, since I'm kind of talking about them already. Okay, yes, accountability is definitely real to me. She says accountability is real. It absolutely is. And see, Kamaria, so is it safe to say in some instances cause and effects is based on choices and consequences? Yes. If you control the choice, You get to control the choice, but not the consequences. Actually, no, you get to control the consequence by discerning the choice. You get to determine what the consequence is going to be. And we think of consequences as something negative, but they're not always negative. You get to determine whether that consequence is going to be desirable or undesirable by discerning the choice. Being intentional, mindful, and clear about the choice that you make. Okay? This wholly predictable pattern of seed time and harvest, day and night, hot and cold, winter and summer, this completely predictable pattern is also a reflection of the predictability of cause and effect, sowing and reaping, watch this, and the law of polarity and the law of gender. The law of polarity says, and I'm going to show you how these tie in. It is the universal law of opposites. It says that everything has an opposite, and one facilitates the other. You cannot have day without night. You cannot have winter without summer. Are you understanding? You cannot have up without down. And as I was saying in the very beginning, before the beginning began, before the all of everything began the beginning, because remember, it began the beginning when it began. But it was not in the beginning, it created beginning. The beginning began when the beginning began by the all of everything. But prior to the beginning of prior to him beginning the beginning, the all of everything is all that there was. And it could only know itself conceptually because it was all that there was. And it understood and knew that in order for it to know itself experientially, the only way it could know itself experientially is if all that is had to create the existence of all that is not. And we, as the individuations of all that is, being less than the one, now is the reflection of all that is, so that all that is could experience and express itself through all it is not. In other words, that polarity, that duality is a part of our divinity. Yes, let me say that again. That duality is a part of our divinity, in that it allows us to experience and express all that we desire, all that is, because of all that is not. To experience not just here and there, but that which is in between here and there. Yes? Are y'all understanding what I'm saying? The polarity is necessary. You don't experience good without what we have termed bad. I'm using humanistic terms. Sunshine, rain, all a part of the regularity of the cycle of the system of seed time and harvest. Okay, this law of polarity is intertwined and intersects with the pattern of seed time and harvest. How would you know you are experiencing the best days of your life if you had nothing to compare it to? There cannot be best if there is not worst. Now, are you understanding what I'm saying? Yes, that's right. He said, I'm so glad to finally understand that there is nothing bad. It is all relative. That's the law of relativity. It is all relative because there's always something that is quote unquote worse than what you're experiencing. But that everything has purpose. So it's really not bad per se. It is purposeful. And when you begin to look at the experiences and the times and seasons and cycles of your life through that perspective, through that lens, then you cease to start labeling it as bad and start labeling it as an opportunity for growth and expansion, for development, to help me in my evolutionary journey of becoming, of being rather, and becoming. Okay? The polarity is necessary. Even in the creation narrative, the Genesis narrative, we have misunderstood because of our own anthropomorphic idea of God that we imposed upon God, the whole purpose behind the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Please understand that it's important that the text refers to it as the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. It is not the tree of good and evil. It was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And again, he's using anthropomorphism. In other words, that good and evil existed, what we call good and evil existed, but that Adam and Eve had no knowledge of their existence. And so since they had no knowledge of their existence, then they saw everything simply that it was. Not good, not bad, not good, not evil, just it simply was. When they ate of this fruit, it awakened the part of their divinity to discern the difference between the two. The polarity, the duality that was necessary in order to experience both. They never would have been able to experience what we call good and bad had they had no knowledge of what good and bad was, good and evil was. And so what the writer, intentionally so, but that's a whole nother conversation about what happened at the Council of Nicaea, began to put forth the propaganda of it as being the fall of humanity. It was indeed the awakening of mankind. That's a whole nother conversation. Okay? The whole nother conversation. You cannot exercise the fullness of your divinity without understanding the concept of the pattern of the pattern of seed time and harvest, day and night, summer and winter, cold and hot. That will never cease. It is inevitable. Jesus is even purported to have said in one of the Gospels, John, one of the more reliable ones, written by the person they call John, says that it is inevitable that offenses will come. What is he saying? He's saying that it is impossible for you to exist in this three-dimensional experience that we call life and not encounter offenses. He didn't say you would be offended. He says you will encounter offenses. You can encounter an offense without being offended. But you have to encounter the offense how do you experience forgiveness if there is nothing to forgive? If there's no offense? How do you experience and express forgiveness if there is no offense? Are you understanding what I'm saying? So it is inevitable, he's saying. He was speaking to the inevitability of seed time and harvest, of day and night. Okay? In order for day to exist, there must be night. In the beginning, God created heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And God said, let there be light. And Corinthians says the light then came out of the darkness. Darkness was the womb that gives birth to the light. Hey, are you understanding what I'm saying? That is seed time, harvest, the polarity of all existence, the duality. But not just so, the law of gender. I'm over time, so I'm trying to hurry and get through this. The law of gender says that everything has a masculine, which is the yang, and feminine, which is the yin energy. Okay? We understand that creation and manifestation is a cooperative process of both action and surrender, of both masculine and feminine, a balance of both masculine and feminine that brings about conception and then birth, creation and then manifestation. Please broaden your mind beyond sex. We're not talking about sex. We're talking about creation and manifestation. Sex is included, but it is not comprehensive. It's probably the most simplistic way of trying to explain the law of gender and the pattern of seed time and harvest. Very simplistic, very base. I'm hesitating whether I should say this or not. I'm going to say it without explanation, and maybe in another teaching we'll explain it. But there are existences of highly evolved beings that procreate without sexual intercourse. I'm going to leave that right there by simply enacting a law. I'm going to leave that right there, but just know that that does exist. That's a reality. So even though sex is included, it is not. It is like the lowest example, if you will, of this law of gender. Okay? The masculine and feminine energy. It is really about the balance of the duality, the balance of the day and night, the balance of the hot and cold, the balance of the harvest and the seed time. It has to be in balance. When there is an unbalance, is unbalance a word? Is that the right use of that word? I think I'm using that wrong. Imbalance, not unbalance, imbalance. That's the word. That's it. Imbalance, or when it's misaligned, then you have chaos and confusion until you bring it back to balance. And that imbalance is personified through the erroneous teaching that is perpetrated across every religion. Well, not every one of them. No, there's a couple of exceptions. Across most religions, a pie in the sky by and by. When I get through toiling down here, out in the sunshine, out in the rain, look at that. I got a seat in the kingdom. How pathetic. I'm going home to live with Jesus. That's really, y'all, don't you dare Act like you ain't sing them songs. Yes, you did. If you grew up in the Christian church, you was toiling in the sunshine and the rain too, just like everybody else. Through the muck and the mire. Oh my God. That imbalance led to chaos and confusion and frustration and aggravation and victimization. And so we were convinced that we ought to live out our entire earthly existence as the victim of circumstance, fate, demons, devils, goblins, and ghosts and witches and everything else coming at us. But if you can just keep on holding on, after a while, by and by, you're going to go seat up in the kingdom where there's every day is Sunday and always howdy, howdy, no more goodbye, and feast on milk and honey, sit at the welcome table, see my mama there. The existence of we were convinced rather of an existence of a place and space that is on one side of the pendulum. There's this heaven that's just all wonderful milk and honey, and then there's the earth, which is just toiling through the muck and the mire. That imbalance created a chaotic experience, an undesirable experience. But when I understand that the law of gender demands a balance of masculine, of feminine, okay? That these two cooperative energies work together to manifest, to create, and to manifest what I desire. I need the night, but night is not all there is. I need the day, but day is not all there is. So I need both a balance of night and day in order to produce, to create, and then manifest what I desire. Are you hearing me? I need sunshine, but not just sunshine. I need rain, but not just rain. Too much rain is a flood. Too much sun is a drought. Are you understanding? I need a balance of the two in order to produce the kind of harvest, the kind of garden experience that I desire to have within my life. And when I understand this pattern of seed time and harvest and the laws that are tied to it, that undergird it, that gave birth to it, then I'm able then to interact intentionally with these laws and control what my seed time and harvest look like. What that experience looks like. What it is for me. For me as an individual. Are you understanding? And while the earth cycle does indeed go through a corporate collective season of seed time and harvest, time to plant, time to pluck up which is planted, have you noticed that not every seed is sown in the same time? There are those who grew up on farms who understand this, that you plant certain seeds at certain seasons. And while you are harvesting the result of those seeds, you are ready to plant a different kind of seed in a different season. And there is this balance of nature that allows there to be a constant cycle of production taking place when you understand the seasons, the cycles, the seed time, and the harvest, knowing what to plant when and where in order to produce the desired effect. And that I am constantly, continuously, perpetually in the mode of sowing and reaping, of seed time and harvest, of compensation, of action and compensation, of using both my masculine and feminine energy. I am within the balance of the polarities. Are you understanding what I'm saying to you? Yes? No, I hope you are. Just as right now we are we are in the overlap. That's what I call it, at least. The overlap of the shifting and changing of the era or the age. We have been in this overlap for the past few years now. The end of the Piscean age and the beginning of the age of Aquarius. Okay? And we're in that overlap. We're in that overlap. There are those who think that there are definite, beginning and starting points, but it really is intersected. So there is that overlapping space, and that's where we find ourselves now between the Piscean and the Aquarian, that will be in full effect probably at the beginning of next year. And when I say next year, not January 2024, but probably more around about March of 2024. But that's a whole nother conversation. This overlap has been taking place. If you understand seed time and harvest, you understand the balance of the polarities, then you can take advantage of the enormous buildup of energy that is available to us in this time. That is on a more collective, global perspective. But as individuals, as we distill it down to our own individual lived experiences in the earth, our seasons or seed time and harvest, our place within that pattern and within those cycles are not intersected or locked with the others around us. You get to create your balance and how those cycles take place within your life. You get to determine them. What do I mean? I mean, you don't get to set certain dates. Again, we're not dealing with the illusion of time, but you do get to determine when and how and where you sow, or you release the seeds of causation, how you sow, when, where, what, and how, and then put yourself in the cycle or the circulation that inevitably leads to your harvest. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Again, it gives you ultimate control over your lived experience. You are not the victim of fate. You are not you're tied to a particular bloodline experience, or generation, or culture, or environment, or religion. You have the autonomy as a divine individuation of the all of everything to begin to create and curate what your lived experience is by simply accessing with intention these spiritual laws that have created this universal pattern. Are y'all catching what I'm saying? Okay? Thank you, Teresa, for putting that in the comments. She says, how you perceive a thing determines your experience. Thank you, Camelia. That's right. And she says, the new year begins around about March, the season of Aries. That's a whole nother conversation, but yes. Okay? Law of cause and effect. The law of compensation, or sowing and reaping. The law of polarity. The law of gender. And of course, the law of rhythm. Seed time and harvest, day and night, cold and hot, okay? Winter and summer will never cease. It is inevitable. It will continue for as long as existence exists. Okay? So take advantage of it. Take advantage of it. and use your knowledge, your understanding, your awareness of this pattern and the laws associated with it that undergird it, that gave birth to it. Use your knowledge of it to intentionally, deliberately, through your thoughts, words, and deeds, create and then manifest the lived experience that you desire. You get to determine who you are being and becoming. Instead of meandering through life accidentally, if you will, without aim, without goal, without purpose, bumping into this, that, and the other, like walking down a dark hall, trying to feel your way down the hall by holding on to the sides of the wall and hoping that you don't bump into something. You get to turn on the light now, the illumination of knowledge that lights the path, okay? So that you're able to then walk deliberately, intentionally toward that which you desire. And I'm way over time. Anyone have any questions at all? Any questions, put it in the comments, or any contribution, any comments that you want to give us, please put that in the comment as well so that we're able to share it with everyone else. Put it in the comments now. Put it in the comments right now. And next week, we will continue this conversation by looking at one of the other universal patterns. Remember that there's seed time and harvest. There's the pattern of chaos, shift, new order, and glory. We almost got into that a little bit today, but we'll talk about that as well. The pattern of winter, spring, summer, and fall, or the seasons, and contraction and expansion, and birth and death. What we call birth and death. And we'll get more into that. So we're going to talk about each one of them. Okay? You're welcome. Thank you, Theresa, for being so supportive. I really appreciate all of you. All right, listen, those of you who would like to support the platform, I appreciate each and every one of you for doing so. You can do so by using one of the means that you see on the screen right now. You can use our Cashapp, emergelec, or at Zelle, ijmiles38@gmail.com. Whatever gift or donation that you give is greatly appreciated. And if you are unable or choose not to give financially, but you want to give just by being prayerfully supporting and through your meditation, giving us that good energy and thoughts, then I appreciate that as well. Whatever you choose to do, I appreciate you for your support. It is necessary, and I'm grateful for it. So consider it. If you are being blessed and empowered by this teaching, by this platform, it's necessary and it's right for you to support it financially or in some way, form, or shape. I ask of you to do so at your discretion. Okay? There it is on the screen. I'm going to take that off now and come back to me. There we go. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you on next Sunday at 9 a.m. Y'all try and be on time next week so I'm not starting out talking to two people. And do me a favor, invite some other people to come and be a part of the conversation. Man, let's grow this platform. Interact with the platform. Send hearts, send stars. You can definitely contribute and support to the platform by using the stars. Those of you who are watching on Facebook. Now, they don't have that, I don't think, on YouTube. If they do, I don't know about it. But yeah, send stars and send hearts and likes and share this particular broadcast with your friends, your families, and others, and invite others to tune in with you. Hold listening parties, and all of you decide. I know it's kind of early to get up and have a listening party, but get up with your family and friends or loved ones or your boo and you know, take a moment and just sit together and Enjoy the conversation, participate with us, and then have conversations amongst yourselves. Do your own research. Don't take anything that I say, as gospel. Take it, and then you can research it for yourself, because you'll see that whatever I say to you is absolutely, I do my best to make sure that I'm accurate in everything that I say to you. All right. So thank you again. I appreciate each and every one of you. I love you immensely. Have the most wonderful, soulful Sunday that you can have. Goodbye, everybody.